People ain't loyal no more. It's time to talk. Paul, thank you for accepting the invitation to be on Loyalty. I'm really looking forward to this one. We know each other for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
I've spent a year in your mastermind, which gave me a lot. Let's dive into your journey, because I've seen so much progress since we met. I would start with your career. What did you do before you became project manager for big sites?
Firstly, thanks for having me over. I've not been to Wigan before, which I only realised when I was coming here.
First time?
Yeah. And I think it might be the last. No, I'm messing. So before I went into corporate construction, delivering large projects, I was in the military, which is it's quite a funny story. I joined the army. So I left school at 16. I didn't sit any exams because I fell off a cliff when my exams were on. Have you seen that movie Tango and Cash? Kurt Russell.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Well, they zip wire down from a building to another building.
Yeah.
They've put up a zip wire and he throws his belt over and he slides down it. And I'll give that a go. So I jumped on a cliff and threw a belt over a zip wire, and of course it burnt straight through and I fell into the quarry. And I was in a coma instead of doing my exams.
Wow.
So all my GCSEs were estimated. Anyway, by the by, I left school and I went to do A-levels at first. My dad made me go to college. He wanted me to go and get a degree and everything else. And whilst I was at school, I always wanted to be a lawyer, criminal lawyer.
Why is that? That's very interesting. Anyone in your family was a lawyer? Or?
No, I just showed a real interest for it as a kid. I still do now. I still watch all the crime scene investigation shows on TV and Law and Order and Line of Duty and all those. I love them. And yeah, my dad was pushing me into this career as a lawyer. I was quite academically clever at school. Mm-hmm. I did well in my mocks. Did well, like from an intelligence perspective. I was quite smart. And when I started university, I absolutely hated it. College. I hated it. I did the first year, and for me, it was just a piss up. And I was doing subjects that I didn't enjoy, but they were required in order for me to get into university, where I would study law. So I studied computer science, human biology, and physical education. They were the three topics I chose because they were all aligned with the points. I forget what it was. Some points I needed to join university. And after the first sort of 9 months, 10 months, I absolutely hated it. So I decided I was going to do something different. I was always good with my hands, so I explored becoming a car mechanic on a YTS scheme. Did you know that?
No. Didn't
So
know
I
you were
got
a car
a,
mechanic.
yeah.
I knew you were in army, obviously. That's
Yeah.
probably where your discipline comes from, training.
Yeah, that's it.
Love the tattoos as well.
Yeah.
That's sharp mind, basically. When you focus on something, you just do it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, when I went to be a car mechanic, I got a work placement in a company called DC Cook. They were quite a big deal where I'm from. He had his kids were Formula 3 racing drivers. Derek Cook, his name was. I actually did some security for him once, and he had Marty Pello. Well, you look a little bit alike, actually. Marty Pello from Wet Wet Wet. He sang at this kid's wedding, and I was there doing the doors there, and he took me on as an apprentice mechanic. And as you do with every 18-year-old that's just left college, my company cars were like sports cars. Mm-hmm. So I got 14 points on my driving license within 6 months of working there, just getting caught speeding all the time. Well, I got to 9, and then I got done again. And my Derek Cook himself, he defended me in court and said, "Look, if you take his license off him, he's going to lose his job." So they pleaded exceptional hardship for me, which meant I could keep my license, but I had that many points I couldn't get insured on my own vehicle, so I could still work. Mm-hmm. I could still attend work. Anyway, I started seeing this girl called Claire, and she was joining the Royal Signals. And I didn't know this when I first met her. About 4 or 5 weeks into seeing her, she was like, "Oh, I'm joining the army soon anyway." And I'm like, "What?" She goes, Yeah, I'm joining the army." And I was like, "Nah, are you actually?" And she went, "Yeah." And I don't come from a military family at all. So she went down to join the forces, and I went, "Fuck it, I'll do that." So I got in my car and I drove down to the careers office and said, I want to join the army. And they were like, what do you want to join? I said, well, Claire's just joined, my girlfriend's just joined the Royal Signals. Can I join that? So there was no sense to this at all. They did this intelligence test on me and they said, you failed as a Royal Signal. And I thought, what? Yeah, you can't be a Royal Signal, you're not clever enough. So I thought, right, nice one. What can I join? They was like, well, you're a car mechanic now, so why don't you join the REME, which is the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers. I said, yeah, I'll have a go at that then. So I did the intelligence test again, and I failed that as well. So I was like, fuck it, what's left? They said, well, we'll try the Royal Engineers. So this tells you a lot about the Royal Engineers, really. And they said, right, you can go in the engineers. So I'm sat in this careers office. He said, now you've got to pick a trade. For when you're in the Royal Engineers, you get a trade. And I was like, oh, what do you mean by a trade? Well, you can be a bricklayer, an electrician, you can be a tank mechanic. And I was like, oh, mechanic, yeah, I'll do that. I'll be a mechanic. So I sat the test for that. I failed that. And they said, right, your choices are bricklayer or painter and decorator. I was like, fucking hell. You're really setting the world on fire here for me. So I joined and became a bricklayer. So I joined the forces at 19. I was just about to turn 19, so I was 18. And I trained as an engineer. 94 I joined, and then became.
Why do they need bricklayers in the army? What the fuck?
Believe it or not, the army's completely self-sustainable, self-sufficient, or it certainly was back then. Anyway, it's not nowadays. We could every job you can imagine in Civistry existed in the army.
Wow!
So you could be a chef, a vet, a doctor,
of course,
a dentist,
chef, because
they
cook for them.
A postman. There was a postman there. You could be an army postman. A barman. I did a stint as a barman. So everything was completely insular, if you like. It's not like that now. Lots of stuff's outsourced now. And so I trained as an engineer, went all around the world doing all sorts of different things. And I left in 2008 as a... I left because of a woman as well, actually. So I got divorced and started seeing this other woman, and when I got divorced, my now ex-wife and kids moved up north, and I was based in Twickenham at the time. I was doing the doors on an evening, and I was doing the forces in the day. So it's a long old slog to finish work, go do the doors, and try and get up north to see the kids whenever I could. So it was tough, and I decided I'm going to leave. So I left the forces, and when I left, I had no idea what I was going to do, no idea at all, and I went into what they call a career transition workshop, which is where the military they've got a level of responsibility or duty of care, if you will, to make sure that you're not going to
find you the right path.
Yeah, so you're not going to be a burden on society. Yeah, they're going to transition you back into civilian street. Because I've been 14 years in the forces. You become a certain degree, you become indoctrinated to a degree. And I had literally no clue what I was going to do, and I was in this workshop. And this guy, Dave, the host, the facilitator of this workshop, he was going around everybody else and, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And everybody in the room was really uninspiring. There was one guy who wanted to be a cleaner. I'm going to leave and be a cleaner. And I was like, what? What the fuck? I was 32 years old. I'm not going to leave and be a fucking cleaner, mate. The lad next to me was called Joe, and he was the first one that made me go, ooh, I like the sound of that. So he wanted to be a facilities manager for in the construction space. And I looked at it, I thought, yeah, I like the sound of that. So I said, I'll have a go at that as well, to this Dave. There's a theme here, isn't there? And so we sat in this workshop, and then he taught us how to write a CV and everything else. And I shot this CV out to lots of companies, and I was based in London at the time. I knew I needed to be up north, but I weren't really sure where. And this company came back to me from Scunthorpe and said, we'll give you an interview. And I thought, yeah, okay. I went up to this interview. I drove up to Scunthorpe. It was 2 days later or something. And this guy called Martin interviewed me, in his 60s, contracts manager. He just loved the fact that I was ex-army. Wasn't interested
Discipline was there already.
That was it. So that's all he said. He was there was no... What experience have you got with working with refurbishment projects and programs? In most cases,
it doesn't really matter.
He didn't care. He knew I was ex-army. I was turned out well. I was smart. I was fit. I was healthy. And he said, "You've got the job. Let's talk money." And I had no idea, like, on the forces, I was like on 25 grand, I think, at the time when I left. And he said to me, 32 grand, all right? And I was like, fuck, 7 grand pay rise. I didn't say that, but yeah, it sound. Anyway, and I'll give you a company car as well. So I was 32 basic and a company car, which was fucking loads of money at the time. And I started, and I had a real tough time transitioning from being a section commander in the Royal Engineers and training instructor to becoming a project manager for a civilian construction firm. And the hardest part, I've said this 100 times on 100 different podcasts, the hardest part for me was I was expected to have older people report into me. I was 32 at the time. Now, in the forces, generally speaking, with age comes rank and seniority. So the older you are in the army, generally speaking, you are the higher rank you are.
Yeah.
So that sort of conditioning was still in me and it's still with me. So whenever I saw someone older than me, the natural assumption becomes that person's above me in terms of finance, money, progression, career, everything. They're just better than me because they're older. And all these people in this room that were now reporting into me were all older than me. So I had 60 and 65-year-old site managers reporting into me as the project manager, and I'm sat there going, I can't tell these fuckers what to do. And I found it really difficult to transition from that, from being younger to telling someone older than me what to do. And it was really, really tough, that. But given my structure and background and having a disciplined life and a life with structure, a life with a framework, I found the transition into the role itself real simple. Like everything had a logical answer. Like, I've got this problem. Well, I just had to look for the logic in what the solution was. What do we do in this situation? Well, what does the spec say? Oh, we're going to be, we're going to run over time. Or where is time? What does the program say? And it was all these real, sort of basic, really, really basic, logical steps that came from a challenge for me, anyway. And I served. That was the wrong word. I worked for the company I was working for. They were called Bullet Construction anymore. They've gone bump now. They're now called United Living. That are still going. And we had a decent homes contract with local authority. Kitchens, bathrooms, rewires, boilers, full house schemes. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of houses open at any one given point. And I had 10 managers reporting into me, given this. It was an extremely, extremely busy time, extremely busy period of my life. Delivered lots and lots of projects for North Lincolnshire Council, and then over in Grimsby for North East Lincolnshire Council. And then I went back to, at the time it was probably a good move for my career, but looking back, probably not. So I was offered an opportunity to deliver a tower block of a full refurb of a tower block. I'd never done it before. I just thought, what's different? Like, there can't be any different to doing houses to doing a tower block. I learned a hell of a lot on that job, but it was so stressful. Delivering a job like that where you've got sole responsibility. When you're on a tower block, there's no hiding. Like, everything's on you because you're there all the time. Like, you're in the site office, everything's there. Everything's on you. Like, when you've got 100 houses open, you've got people reporting into you, and you can kind of delegate
sometimes
lots
you're
and
on
lots
this
of roles.
one, sometimes you're on that one.
Yeah, and on a tower block, it's just you. So there was I had no top support, no top cover support, and I had no reports. I didn't have peers. It was me versus the subbies versus the building. So it was a really, really tough job. That was 18 months long, 2.3 million it was, that one specific job. And I got to the end of that job and it was like, this is no longer for me. I need something new. So I started looking, and I actually got, I don't want to say headhunted because it's quite a fucking big-headed term, but I got approached by Eon Energy Solutions. They were a construction company that lived inside of a energy company, and they were doing external wall insulation wraps in Leicester City. And I kind of looked at the distance, and it was like, it's a drive, but it's going to be a really interesting scheme. It's big money, big numbers, big projects, big salary. I thought, let's give it a shot. And I turned up at this job, and I mean, I'm still in touch with him now, and I love him to death. The guy that interviewed me, John, his name was, what a character. But talk about someone that does fag packet management. He was next level. Like, there was not a program in sight, not a spec in sight. Everything was done on a handshake, high five, or a fucking wing and a prayer and a phone call. And it's like, I walked into this office and I look at John and, all right, mate, I'm Paul. I came in a suit as well, just like you on my first day. I slipped in some mud and fucking fell over on my first day. And John was sat there in his tracksuit, and I was like, I'm here for the mate to take over the scheme down here. And he was like, yeah, sound, mate, sit in the corner. And I thought, fucking hell, this is a bit weird. And he came in with a fag packet with a bunch of addresses on. Yeah, I'll get them done. Materials are outside, here's your subby phone number. And I was like, no, this can't be true. This can't be happening. So I kind of dug into this, I got into the scheme in the same manner in which John had been doing it and started introducing improvements along the way. And of course now John's boss at the time noticed this as well, and they were like, this bloke can do way more than what we've employed him to do. So they promoted me past John, and I started running my own site. So I came in as John's report and ended up being his boss in the end. Then I became the operations manager for the UK for this company, and I had so much like money and men under my watch, if you like.
A lot of responsibility.
Yeah. And I was flying up and down the UK, literally flying in planes, small aircraft, just to get around the amount of work that we had on. So I had sites in the north of Scotland, Devon, Preston, Ipswich, South Wales, all at the same time, Leicester, Glasgow, Edinburgh. They were everywhere, and I was expected to be on these sites at least once a week. So, I was some weeks 10 planes, some weeks, and it was like, this is fucking tough. Yeah, too much travel, too much stress, too much money, too much responsibility. And I was still relatively young, compared to, like, John was 15 years older than me, so I still had that resistance was still there inside of me. But all the while I'm building procedures and putting processes in place to protect and grow the company. You would think that a company like Eon would have all this in place, but they didn't. We was building it as we went. We were a new business inside of a business. So it was, as this went on and on and on, it just got so much for me in the end that I thought, something needs to change. And at the time I was boozing heavy as, like, the levels of booze I was putting away, you'd look at it on a table and go, you aren't drinking that in a day, fucker, no chance. And I was every single day. And that was my response and my internal management mechanism to deal with the stress that I was under at work. People often say, like, booze is a problem, booze is never the problem, booze is the response to the problem. Yeah. So
some people start eating heavily. Some people find drugs,
whatever it is. That thing isn't the problem. There's always
just
underlying thing.
Get away,
escape mechanism
for a little time, because once you're sober again, the problem is still there.
Yeah, but we think that the booze solves it. Often I'll hear people say, "Oh, I need a drink because I'm stressed." You don't. You need to remove the fucking thing that's creating the stress, not add something else that makes it worse. And it took me a long time to realise that. And because of that boozing, I thought I blamed the job. The job is why I'm boozing. The job's why I'm boozing. The job's why I'm boozing it. And it became, I need to leave the fucking job.
Would you say the booze had some impact to your personality as well? Obviously, if you go through that much alcohol every single one day, then you feel rough day after, and you go again and you go again.
Did it impact my personality? Oh, what a great question. I don't think I've been asked that before. And I guess the honest answer is that at the time, that was my personality.
Okay.
Because that's all I knew.
So you had to change it, basically, and you felt that.
Yeah, like, since I stopped drinking, I'm this man now. I'm a man now that never existed before. It's almost...
You had to recreate yourself, basically. Define.
Yeah, that wasn't conscious, though. That's not a conscious thing I've done. It's just, since stopping drinking, I've worked so much on myself, and with coaches, with reading, with personal development, with podcasts, all the rest of it. I've worked so much on that. I've almost created a...
different persona.
Yeah, but not consciously. I haven't done it on purpose. Yeah. It's just... It's just happened
just a
by
natural
default.
progress.
Yeah, natural progress. Yeah, definitely.
That's interesting. And what was the trigger that you said to yourself? Obviously, if you're in this day in, day out, that's normal to you. This is the life.
Yeah.
You've got high paid job, everything is paid, you've got enough money for everything, got enough money for boozing every night, you can afford it, the life is okay, although you felt that this is not fucking okay, I'm just not going in the right direction. But what was the trigger when you said to yourself, like, right, I'm done with this shit, I need to change something?
Do you know what? That did not happen.
No?
It was no decision I ever made. I never knew I had a problem when I had a problem.
Okay.
It was just that was just the norm. But when I left my job, I went to set up my own business. I set up my own construction company to start with back in 2017. And it was like, this will fix it all. I'll start my own company because that'll be less stressful. That'll solve all my problems, so I won't need to drink. And it just got fucking worse. And then in 2018, 22nd of September, I did a property training course. And now the guy that delivered the course, I was in the forces with, we were section commanders together. And I'd not seen him since the army, since leaving. And I'd been out for like 8-9 years before I saw him again. And the first thing he said to me was, "Fucking hell, Tink, you've put some weight on." And I was like, "What? You cheeky fucking slag." I was so fucked off. Like, that was his first, didn't even say hello.
Yeah.
That was the first thing he said to me. And it was in that moment where I was like, fucking hell. And it felt so shit. But I'm glad he said it to me because
sometimes it needs to happen, things like this.
Yeah,
people have to tell you in the face the reality. You need that reality check.
Yeah, and some people don't like it. Some people do not like that at all. They do not like putting a mirror up and, like.
But if you're big enough, you can take it on your chin.
Yeah, that's it. But it wasn't that. That was the like, oh, fucking hell, what? Then we went through this, the first day of this course. And as you know, when you go on a property training course, a lot, they get into the mindset and they get into all these, like, dare I say, tactics as part of the course, which was really valuable. But at the end of that first day, I had the self-awareness and the realization to look at myself and go, I'm fat as fuck now because I've been abusing my body with alcohol for the last 10, 15 years. I need to do something about it. So tonight I'm not going to have a drink.
Just a quick question.
Go on.
I know that you like training. Did you train during that time when you were boozing?
Yeah.
Did you still train?
I used to use red wine as pre-workout.
Fuck off. No way.
Yeah. Red wine opens up your
blood vessels.
And it allows the blood to pump. I used to shoot red wine or port just before I trained.
No way. Never heard that one.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Probably try it.
I've got some red wine and port that goes well with my cigars, but I never tried it as a pre-workout.
Yeah,
right. That's a good one. Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
I was in the hotel that night, and it was, I'm not going to booze tonight while I was on this course, and then I haven't drank since, and that's nearly 7.5 years ago now.
But that was decision. You made a decision that you're not going to drink that night. And that night went into another night, and another one.
And it was that. But do you know what? When I say I didn't make the decision, I never said
that today I'm done with this shit.
Stopping drinking. I never did that.
I get it.
And like, in fact, I'd go as far as to say, Lisa and I, because Lisa was the same, we would go 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and go, "Do you think we'll have a drink again?" And we go, "One day, probably, because I miss it." Then we go, "Let's see if we can do a year." And we get to a year. And then it becomes, I think after about 18 months, it becomes, I'd love a drink.
Just norm, that's your new lifestyle. It's with the healthy eating, basically. If you stick to it day in, day out, it becomes norm. If you eat shit, you feel wrong. Something is not right, Yeah. Same with the training. If you train 6 days a week and then you suddenly don't train for 2 weeks, you're not in your own skin.
It's horrible, that.
So it will become like a norm, basically, I think.
Yeah, it was like when I got to the 18-month point-ish, I'd say to Lisa, "Should we just have one?" And then but then that's 18 months of work.
Thrown away. For one.
Yeah, completely undone. And I know in my heart that one wouldn't be one. And that's why I've never had just one. I hadn't even had alcohol-free beer.
Okay.
Because I think that'd set me off. Because I could still, like, I'm 7.5 years sober now. I could still crash a pint. And in fact, I stayed in Leeds last night on my way here. And it's Christmas market was on. I walked through the Christmas market, and there's loads of craft beer stalls, there's loads of craft beer bars, which is what I used to drink. And I could have just gone in and fucking got upside down. But that was that wasn't a response to anything. That was quite simply, I missed the taste, and let's go and see what it's like. Because I love the taste of beer. Yeah. Still do now.
I love it.
Yeah.
As well. That's why I'm never going to fucking leave it.
If we'd ever been in a competition, mate, I'd have fucking nailed you.
I love beer. I love IPA as well. But again, for past year, I don't abuse it anymore. And I can see benefits of not drinking, even the weekend. It's great. We went for food last Saturday with Mrs. I had non-alcoholic beer, and I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed the time. Had cigar afterwards in Terrace in Warrington, one of the terraces where you can smoke, and brilliant. But before, I would go for family meal. I would twat probably 2-3 pints easily. And I thought it's normal. Then driving back home, I'm thinking myself like, fuck, if someone hit me now, you know, I'm going to take my driving license. You know, I wasn't pissed, but 2-3 pints is enough to go over the level, you know. I definitely see benefits, especially when you train harder. Started jogging again, done 10k this morning, done 15k last Saturday, you know, and I wouldn't be able to do it if I was pissed on Friday. I can't do 15k in the morning, you know, because you feel rough. So definitely seeing benefits of cutting it to minimum. For me now, it's like, even with cigars, I'm trying to have it to reward myself for something. If I've got some success in a business, for example, then I sit down, have a cigar, and have a time of kind of thinking about it like, wow, you know, I've done something right, let's enjoy the time. Where before you would grab it all the time, you know. Just to have a drink. I found myself sometimes especially when I bought, there is a draft machine called Perfect Draft.
I bought my dad one for Christmas one year.
6 liters kegs. Mate, when I bought that, I found myself every other day to have a pint. I was cooking for kids something. I would have 2-3 pints, just cooking in the kitchen, and it's fucking nice, tasty.
My dad got rid of his, you know, for that reason.
Yeah,
he said it's too easy for me to get pissed, so that was it. He got rid of it.
I've not had it on probably about 1.5 years. I will do for barbecue in the summer, but not had it on.
Summer?
And before summertime.
Do we have summer in the UK?
Sometimes we do. Not much in Northwest, but yes, we do. Brilliant. I love that change, you know, going from that kind of mindset. Did it change? Obviously, when you started with self-development, started reading books, that's when you use other people's thoughts to do things different way. What I found fascinating, like in every single one book, there is something for me. I don't necessarily remember the whole book, but I remember certain parts where it resonates with me, like, I needed to read this now.
The nugget. You take a nugget from
my mate always says you always reach to the right book in the right time. And when I'm thinking about it, it's true. Because sometimes, I don't know, when I was in recruitment as a supervisor, then manager, I was reaching for leadership books. You know, it's weird. It's always like, I've got that one I'm reading now, Ego is the Enemy. I'm working on other book with Mick Lyons at the moment, and it's part of the research, you know, how ego is your enemy. It is stuck in a waste many times. We don't realize it. You know, I left it in my 20s. Fuck that shit, you know. You can't take it with you because it just causes problems. In the gym, go and train with ego. You leave him with a bad back and, you know, with cracked shoulders and, you know, stuff like that. So, it's incredible. So mindset. When did it change?
What a great question. So does your mindset ever change? I think it's always developing. For me, I after the property training course, I got really curious about this thing we all call mindset. And I got my first sort of mindset specific coach, a guy from around here actually, he's from Salford. Brad Burton, his name was. And he had a training program. I say it was a training program. It was an online accountability support program. He was banging into this thing that he was calling mindset. I'm going back to 2019 now.
Mm-hmm.
And he had this thing called the Now What Club. And it was about now what in business. You've got to a certain place. Now what? What happens next? What happens next? And it was daily. The training was daily. And I thought, hey, it's fucking, I like this. This is cool. It was like 60 quid a month. I'm like, fucking hell, this is all right. Anyway, he was actually one of the reasons I founded the mastermind that you were in. Brad was. And yeah, I did 12 months, 18 months working with Brad, something around them figures. And then he did this course he calls it BABS, which stands for Be a Better Speaker. And I was like, well, yeah, let's get that a crack. So he trained me to speak, and I got the bug for that. I loved it. Ego is the enemy. Ego loves it. Centre of attention. Cutting around on the stage, and it was like, this is mega. And yeah, I worked with Brad for a while, and then I found a guy called Paul Mott. Have you come across a guy called Paul Mott?
I've heard of him.
So he's a personal development life coach, if you will. The majority of his training is all about you and working on you. And I mean, we don't get on as two men. He dislikes me. I've got issues with him. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so we worked together for 2 years. I think it was 18 months to 2 years. And despite the fact that I dislike the man, he is without a doubt the best coach I've ever had in my life. Like, he's phenomenal. Not cheap, but phenomenal. And I probably got the biggest shifts in developing my mind working with Paul. And then ever since then, I worked, Matt Elwell, right? And then I moved on to Matt after Paul.
I had his brother in podcast last week.
Oh, did you?
Marcus.
Yeah.
Very inspirational guy.
Yeah.
He will be out probably in a couple of weeks' time. We're just working on it to put it together. What a story that was. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt's great. And I worked with Matt for 4 years. And at the moment, I'm working with Ollie Ollerton remember Ollie Ollerton from the TV series? He was at the awards night that you came to, maybe. He was the guest speaker. No? SAS guy.
Yeah, I think so. I think I've seen
it
on
TV
your
presenter.
Socials.
Yeah, I'm working with him in a minute. But I'm always working on it. I'm always reading books. Always got a podcast on the go. Book I'm reading at the minute is called The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. That's fantastic.
Mel is really good. I like her videos. I watch many of her videos. Yeah.
I've actually got that on audio, and then I'm reading Alex Hormozzi's trio of books, 100 Million Offers, Leads, and I forget the third one.
Yeah,
it's Brilliant. Good. I'm always working on it, always
working on yourself.
Yeah. And I don't think you're ever done.
No,
it's never done.
Never.
It's like training.
Never.
It's like the mind's the same as the body. You stop training the body, it's going to get fucking fat.
It's a lifetime project.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah,
and it's never finished.
Yeah. Would you say that people should find their thing, something that it's for them? Because the older I get, I've realized that actually I'm working on that new project that I told you with Mick Lyons. We're going to do the book, and I want to sell it to filmmaker because I believe that story is so powerful. And I found my thing, which is the loyalty. It's something that I've been always talking about, preaching, and live by it. Whether that was on the street, in the school, in the prison, being tested million times, always was making the right decisions, but I never been paid for it. And I was thinking sometimes, like, is it the right thing what I do? I could make $5,000 extra if I went this way, but then I would go behind this guy's back. Nah, fuck that. That's not me. You know, always did the right decisions. And finally now at this age, 40s, I'm finding that it's clicking all together. The right picture is more clear and more clear. And it's my thing that I work on, basically. And I want to take it to the mastery level. I don't think I've ever going to be done with it, but I still want to work on it, basically. So would you say that people should find something that's them for them? Because I believe we all have some kind of mission in our life.
Yeah, totally.
To do something. I don't think, and this is not disrespecting corporate world. There are people who do great jobs, but I can't imagine myself to work 40 years for one company and do the same job all the time. I can't imagine it. I don't think I would be satisfied myself as a person. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just seeking for more, you know, seeking for collaborations with other people. I want to be on a stage one day like you know, talking to people, inspire people. It's all doable.
Definitely. I don't know who said it. I think it's a famous quote, actually. The wage that they pay you is the fee they pay for you to forget your dreams. And it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. Like, do we all have a passion? Yes. Is it easy to find? I don't think it is. Like you say, it took you 40 years.
It's unique for everyone, person.
Of course it is. Like, you just find
Many
it.
people out there don't like tattoos. We love it.
Yeah,
you know, I've seen you again in a chair, you know, doing another tattoo. You know, and I don't think I've got probably, I don't know, 75% of my body tattooed, and I don't think I'm finished yet. You know,
me neither.
There is still some space when I'm having a shower. I'm like, fucking hell, this calf looks too wide. Should we?
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah, the what was we saying about
the mission in life?
Yeah. I think there's too many people that. You touched on it very briefly. You said, I could get $5,000 if I did this. I think there are too many people that have an idea that they know will make money, but they got no passion or love for it. And when that is the case, you will not grow it, you will not love it, and you won't be successful. That's the fucking fact. That's a fucking fact. That's the end of it. Like, for you, why would you build a business or a service or a product that you fucking hate? Why would you do that?
True.
You know, you're putting your whole life into this thing. Like, build something that you actually love doing and that you're passionate about. Yeah, I never ever thought, that I would be in the education space. I fucking hated being a training instructor in the army. I hated it.
Really?
Yeah, and now I'm doing it, and I'm having such a fucking impact on people that are in the same position as I was when I first started in my business. And I fucking love it. To be able to help them people do that is so fucking cool.
Rewarding.
Yeah, it is so rewarding. You know, both financially. Let's not make two bones about it.
Yeah.
Emotionally, like energetically, and I get to live what I feel is what I'm feeling now. Anyway, is my purpose. Like, why would you do anything other than that? But I think you've got to find it.
Yeah.
And that's the path you've got to go on.
It's not easy to find it, but
no, it's not.
You know,
I think I stumbled across it.
Yeah, we have. I believe we all have that inner feeling, inner voice that's dragging you this way, basically.
Yeah. Do you know what it is, that inner voice? It's when people go, do you know, I'd fucking love to do that.
Passion.
But then they bottle it.
Something.
But then they bottle it. I'd love to get, like, any example that you can think of. I'd love to teach people how to ski. Go be a skiing instructor then. Oh, I can't do that.
Or you love fitness and you would love to train people.
Yeah.
You fit as fuck. What's stopping you to do that?
Yeah, and they're just, I'd love to move to Cyprus. I get that one a lot as well. Fucking do it then. What would you do when you were there? Oh, you know, I'd start a wedding and events business or a dive school or, doing flights around the island for people. Go do it then. And, oh no, I can't do that. And it's, why not? Why can't you do it? You can do it, you just ain't got the fucking balls to do it.
Let's touch on your pilot license. What made you to do that? Did you have some passion for flights or anything?
No, not at all. My mate did it. He sent me a video and I was like, I fancy that. Same fucking thing. It's the story of my life.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so my mate left the RAF and he went and got his pilot's license with his payout off the army. And I said, why'd you do that? And he goes, actually, it was near you. And I went, really? And he said, yeah, there's a school near your house. And I was like, fucking didn't even know. So I got in the car, went down. Can I have my pilot's license? And he went, yeah, you've got to sign this, this, and this. And that was it. Took me a year and I had my pilot's license. Yeah. Absolutely incredible experience.
Was it?
Highly recommend it. Worth every penny. Please don't think that like
difficult with the
millionaires
theory?
Fly. No, easy.
Easy, really?
Everything was easy. Like people have this perception of pilots as it's like a really wealthy man's sport. It's not at all. Couldn't be further from the truth. I've paid more for property training courses than I paid for my pilot's license, which is wild to say out loud. And I can just get in the. I could have flown here today, and it would have been probably about the same as what it cost me to get here in reality, and I'd have been here 4 times as fast, which is the other thing. I can fly anywhere in the world. I could just get in the plane now and fly to Cyprus if I want. No airports, no check-in. Just put my shit in the back and off I go. It's the most freeing thing ever.
Are you buying your own jet one day? Or?
No, and the reason for that is purely financial. In that, it makes sense to not pay cash for a car or pay cash for a house. Planes are the same.
Yeah.
There's so much. To hire a plane, it costs about, depending on which type of plane you buy, but for the plane I hire, it's 175 quid for the hour that it's flying.
Okay.
So as it's parked, you're not paying.
Yeah.
So if I was to fly here, it'd probably take about an hour from my house to fly here. No, not that much. 40 minutes. So it might be 120 quid for me to fly here from my house. If I bought a plane, it's 100 grand to buy it, cash.
Yep.
I've then got to hangar it, 20 grand a year.
Okay.
I've got to service it. I'm responsible for all the repairs. I've got to put my own fuel in it, whereas in the hire, the fuel's covered. I've got to put the oil in it. I've got to clean it. Everything. I've got to pay for everything. And I get the same result.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense to buy one at all. Unless you're going to do it as part of a business, because there are business opportunities with
unless you rent
aircraft.
It, so then it's not liability, but asset because it's bringing you some money.
Be as part of a business, but you'd have to be renting it out for some hours for it to wash its face.
Yeah.
Like that money. The money is in transportation, emergency transportation. So body parts, organs in mid-transplant.
Right. Can we go a little bit to construction mindset and trades? I love this.
Yeah.
Builders.
Yeah.
Why some of them are brilliant and most of them are shitbags who are bullshitting you and, wasting your money and not sticking to the promises, and what's that all about? And what gets me the most is there are people out there who actually are still in the business. I don't know how they can manage it. I'm not slagging off the builders. I know some. I've delivered 150 refurbs, let's say, and there were some great builders, and some of them are my good friends as well. We became friends along the way, apart from doing the business and making money together. But some of them, the people I met, fuck you know.
Yeah, I mean, first thing is, tell me another industry where that's not true.
True. If I was probably in other industry, it would be probably
every industry has good people and bad people, right? So I think it's easy. I think it's first to establish that it's not unique to the construction industry. But every industry has this divide, good and bad. Every walk of life has good and bad. But to answer the question of, why are some reliable, some unreliable, some do this, some do that. Now it's my belief that exists because the majority, and I'm going to generalize now, and I don't like to do this, but the majority of people in the industry, in the trades, didn't do too well at school, left school 16 years old, decided that they could start throwing shit on walls and charge money for it using their hands, but no one ever taught them how to run a business. So all they're ever doing is chasing the cash.
Yeah.
They believe they're in this fictitious race to the bottom that they joined, which blows my mind. And And so they're always chasing money and operating from a place of scarcity. Look, I don't believe that anybody's bad on purpose. I believe everybody responds to a situation, their own situation, in the best way that they think they can get the result that changes their own situation. I don't think anybody does that out of badness, genuinely. Like, if you're skint, you do what's required to get money, right?
Of course.
But I don't think anybody consciously goes and sets out to do that in a bad way, with the exception of absolute wankers, of course. But for most trades, certainly that I encounter anyway, of course there are exceptions, but certainly the ones I encountered, absolutely zero financial education, like not. And when I say zero,
business acumen, I would call it.
I think that is even, to have business acumen, I think that's even a higher level than what I experience.
Yeah.
I remember I was delivering a training one day. There was 20 odd traders in the room, and one guy, I was talking about sales and marketing and revenue and profit, taxation, and I could see this guy was like, he was off with the fucking fairies. He looked stoned.
Okay.
And I went, "Are you okay?" And he went, "Mate, you're saying loads and loads of words. I don't know what any of it means." And for me, I'd not said anything too deep or too complex or anything like that. And I went, "Okay, what is it that you're struggling with specifically?" He went, "Just the language that you're using." He went, "What's revenue?" And I was like, "You're fucking joking." I didn't say that out loud, but in my head I'm going, "No, you didn't. You can't mean that. You can't. You didn't actually ask that question." And of course I explain it, and he'll go, "Yeah, all right then. Yeah, I get that now. So what do you mean by expenditure?" And you're like, "Fucking hell." Like,
we're going deep now.
How the fuck are you running a business? This is in my head. I'm thinking, how are you running a business and you don't know that? And it was in these early days of training the trades, that I quickly realised this, like how little support that's available out there for them,
because they still have to pay the bills and they have to support, so they have to chase that paycheck.
But even if they had time to go and get support, where do they go? Right, I'm a plasterer and I'm working in Wigan, and I decide one day I'm going to get better at business. Where do I go to do that? There's nothing. There is nothing. When you go and learn your trade to be a plasterer at college, you learn how to be a plasterer. You learn how to make wall shine. Yeah. And that's it. That no one teaches you anything to do with finances, money, accounting, taxation, nothing. I know blokes that have been in the industry 30 years don't even know what CAS is or stands for. And you're like, no, mate, this can't be a thing. And that is probably the reason why I find what I do now so rewarding, because it's so easy to get an immediate, long-term impactful result for them, because of the absolute lack of knowledge that the majority hold when they first meet me. Mm-hmm. It's really easy to do. I'll do like this Kickstart thing with them where I go, right, this is what I want you to do. The first thing I want you to do in your business, like X, Y, Z. And they go, oh, fucking hell. Like, the look on their face, and it's so transformative in that, but it's still so simple. So yeah, I've actually answered your question. I've just gone off on a massive tangent.
No, you answered it. We don't believe that, they're bad intentionally. It's just lack of what you said. I think it's lack of that business acumen or that understanding of the business, because this is exactly what I was struggling with when I was collaborating with some of them. I had great flow of sales, and every month probably 2-3 properties needed complete refurb. That was the time when the market was booming and they were selling, and I had too much business on the table, and I was trying to explain some of them, like, mate, you deliver this great way, let's smash this one project, I'll bring you another 10-15 on the table. But I never seen anyone excited about it. All I could see is they were excited about my invoice that I'm going to pay this Friday. And that was it. They couldn't see behind it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I was always looking like this because I see the long-term potential, you know. I don't want to do one project. I want to do 100 projects, you know.
Yeah.
I'd rather make $1,000 out of one of them, but 100 times, you know. Not $2,000 and then nothing, you know. It's just I think long-term collaboration, it wasn't there. I was struggling to find it with most of them.
The distance that a person is able to see into the future financially is largely aligned with how much money they have in the bank in that moment in time that they look. If I've got $0 in the bank right now, I'm gigging for Friday.
Yeah.
If I've got 10 grand in the if I've got 10 grand in the bank, I might start looking 6 months ahead.
Yeah.
If I've got 100 grand in the bank, I might start thinking about next year or the year after. So I think it's a really important thing to understand for us, especially when you're in the client role, is to look at like I don't want to use this word in an arsehole way, is to look at the wealth or the monetary position of the person you're going to be engaging with, and kind of like assess their ability to. You can use that as almost a yardstick to go, how far ahead is this guy looking? Like if he's flat broke, I need paying every day.
He's just looking on Friday.
I need cash.
Or
I need paying
Wednesday,
every Friday.
whenever.
You know he's not thinking past the end of next week.
Yeah, get it.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, it's definitely that. Because that's why I was struggling to find it, because most of them, not all of them, were in that situation.
Yeah, of course, we're generalising.
That they needed, you know, some deposit to even buy some basic materials to start the work.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget, I had a plasterer, it's recently actually, a plasterer on a job, and he was doing a bedroom. He had I think it was 4 bags he had to buy, and he rang me up the morning of, and he said, mate, I ain't got any money, can you transfer me 60 quid, or whatever it was, to go and buy the plaster that he needed to go and do the job I had him on, that before he came. He's on his way. Like, you cannot run a business like that.
No.
It's fucking impossible.
No.
Yeah, and you know that he's not thinking past Friday because of that position that he's in.
Mad.
It is.
And there are some people out there, like the guy I collaborate a lot now, his name is Steve. He don't even ask me for deposits for 10 grand jobs because he's that well financially that he doesn't need deposit. You know, we trust each other. He knows that once it's all finished, he gets paid. Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. But it's an exception, unfortunately. I've not seen it a lot of times. It's sad because, you know, there are some great people out there and they could be doing miles better. But I think that's what you do. You help them with your training academy to get them onto next stage, next level. And then some decide to stay there and some will decide to take it to the business stage. You know, scale it to the maximum level and have using subcontractors basically and just be the guy who's bringing the work in. Because I think, master. Yeah, because it's... I believe when you're in that environment, it's quite easy for you to, you understand it. You understand the language of, you know, of the trades. You just have to become a salesman as well. Yeah. You know, to get the business on the table. Because without flow of the business, there is no business. Yeah. You know.
100% correct, yeah.
At Rainbow Northwest, we make real estate effortless. Whether you're looking to sell on the market, off-market through our exclusive investor database, or via auction, we've got you covered. Plus, we offer top-notch property and project management, including refurbishment for investors. We can help you to build your own portfolio. Let us help you on your real estate journey. Rainbow Northwest, your trusted real estate business partner. Academy. Where do you want to take it?
Where do I want to take it? That's such a good question. So I do have a vision to have the best community run. It'll always be run by me, running digitally. Yeah. I've always had this belief that training companies should be doing it in person or they're fake. and I found that to be not true. That was just my ego speaking and saying, people want to see you and be around you. It's just not true. People want the results they get from listening to the words that come out of there, and that's it.
Yeah.
Whether that be online or in person or whatever. Some people have different learner profiles, of course, but there is definitely a market for online. So I'm moving to Cyprus in April 2027, as we've told you off camera. And when I do that, I want to be the go-to person for trades in the UK specifically to grow the business. I want to help them grow a business and not just be a busy fucking knobhead that's just running around in a Nissan Micra with a bag of skim in the boot, fucking doing half a job here and half a job there, and then chasing invoices 20 minutes later. That's not a business. That's a busy mess. That's what that is. We want to be building a business where a person can get off the tools, where they can grow revenue, where they know how to actually market themselves, they know what to say in front of customers, they know how to objection handle, they know how to put a price together, they know how to follow up, they know how to do good customer service, which all these things are so lacking in the industry. Now, I got asked a question on a podcast the other day when I moved to Cyprus of, will I start with education with Cypriot construction companies? Now, I don't know the answer to that because I've not experienced the industry over there.
You will
yet.
find some opportunities there.
I'm sure I will.
100%.
I'm sure I will. But
as soon as you're there, you'll be like this, looking around, right? What we're gonna do?
Yeah. I mean, I still run my retreat over there, which is again, UK businesses come over for a week or so, and work on their business instead of being in it in the day to day every day, which suffocates you when you're in it every
So 27
day.
You will live full time in Cyprus?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah. All things being well right now, we've got a couple of challenges to get over.
Your girl will go to school there as well?
This is the challenge.
Right.
Because right now she's homeschooled.
That's what I was thinking.
So she's homeschooled at the minute in the UK. That's not allowed in Cyprus.
Right, okay.
So she's got to make a decision as to where, if we go, she's got to go to school.
She will find friends fast. Yeah, she will.
She will find friends fast, but she loves homeschooling.
Right.
And she's got a personal private tutor for, she has one for maths and one for English, and the rest of the topics, Lisa, my wife, and I, we deliver for her. And she's become close to these tutors, as you would if you were a one-to-one student, like 4 times a week, that she learns from them.
And I guess it's a little bit different like in school, because in school that teacher needs to deliver to 20, 25 kids.
Yeah.
And this is one-to-one.
Yeah, it's generalised.
Yeah.
Whereas Evie gets exactly what she needs. She gets to ask exactly what questions she needs in that moment, and she doesn't have to sit and worry that she doesn't get it like she does at school. When she's got her tutor, she can just go, can you explain that again? Or, I didn't quite get that. She can't do that at school. Because tutors have got, school teachers they've got a timetable to stick to, whereas she doesn't have that, which is amazing. And she loves it. She absolutely loves it.
Bro, so that's the challenge basically for Cyprus.
That's the only challenge we have left.
Yeah,
is the daughter. She's 11 now.
Did you give the build of your house to some construction company that you've done some research?
No, we bought it off plan.
Oh, off plan, okay.
So the build came with the land.
Oh yeah, get it.
Yeah,
that's cool. Cyprus is beautiful.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I love it.
No, I can't
love
wait. The diet, the sun, the food.
Mediterranean lifestyle
all
year.
Yeah.
20 degrees now.
Yeah, it's
not
28 there now.
28 now.
Yeah.
No way. Right. When are we going?
Yeah. I had a look yesterday on. We use Skyscanner for flights. You can go in December, 16th of December, from Manchester straight into Paphos, 18 quid.
It's mad.
My train ticket here was more than that.
It's mad.
18 quid flight to Cyprus. Fucking crazy.
So there is no big plan or something that you would have planned for that part of your life in Cyprus. I think it will evolve itself like it always does.
Yeah, I mean, there's no plan for Cyprus.
You will still do your academy. It's online now.
Yep.
You probably will be doing some one-to-ones as well.
Yeah.
And then retreat.
Yeah. Yeah, so I actually spoke about this at a training I was running last night. I think too many folk look at other people's success and use that as a yardstick to define their own.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's helpful, especially in construction. He's doing more than me. He's doing 7 figures. He's going to do 8 figures this year. So I want that. And what you don't realise is, like, that is a mark of success for someone else, not for you.
100%.
Like, and I was working towards this like mega training business, and I got to a point and I thought, I'm fucking buzzing with what I've got.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need it. I don't need to grow it any bigger. I have a nice life. I have a nice amount of time with the family. I can go what I want. I can do what I want, when I want, where I want to do it. And I'm happy as fuck. Why would I want to get any busier and do more? I can do more of this.
Time is the best currency.
Yeah.
We can't take it back.
It's so cheesy, but so true. It is so true.
I realised it as well, 40 now, and I'm realising that I just want to spend more time with them, enjoy myself, go and travel more. The world is beautiful. Europe, Cyprus is just one of them. There is Spain, France, Greece is nice, Italy. I want to travel around. Definitely, time is precious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thinking about leaving UK for the better lifestyle? Picture yourself in Cyprus. Sunshine, sea views, and slower pace of life will help you to find your dream home on this beautiful island. I've got something that I mentioned to you before, One Penny Club.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get it. It's imaginary club of cheap fuckers with no morals.
Got a rat on it.
Yeah, I had to. I'm sorry, I had to.
Yeah.
One day, when it's full, I'm going to change it to GOAT, to greatest of all time, and we will be putting people that made impact on the journey. But by then, my mission is to call out all these cheap fuckers. And I'm really sorry to say, and this is not me generalizing people again, but unfortunately, the most of them are traders. Because there is many of them who fuck us over and, run away with deposit. When I was trying to get them go back to the job and fix it, they would block me and, delete my number. So I've got another one because I had a chat in one Liverpool group chat of property investors that I'm in, and they shared some pictures, and there is a guy who called himself Mr. Roofer, and a Mr. Roofer did the roughest job that I've ever seen with a silicone and quick job. I'm going to show you the pictures afterwards. you will laugh your head off. So for this, unfortunately, I need to say that Mr. Roofer, you deserve to be in this, and welcome to my One Penny Club. You fucker. Have you got anyone you want to put in?
I'd like to, not anybody what I want to put in, but one thing I would like to do is say why not, if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
So I see so many people, and I appreciate this is a tongue-in-cheek little thing that you do on the podcast. I see so many folk online feel it appropriate to call out other people for things that they don't like or believe in or whatever that might be. Particularly with these, what we call them high-level influencers. They'll record a video of another high-level influencer and invite them to a fight or fucking whatever that might be.
Yeah.
And I just go, why don't you just focus on your own stuff? Like, you calling out that person, you trying to attack that person, that individual, does not make your flame burn any brighter. And I just wish that people would focus more on themselves than them worrying about what everybody else is doing.
Get it?
Yeah. But I like it. But I do wish people would, if all the energy that people put into trying to discredit someone or go after them online or whatever that is, into their own business and their own growth, they would go so much further, so much quicker.
There's so much money owed, in this world. Unfortunately,
there is.
We all face it.
I'm owed 80 grand off one guy. I'm owed 100k off another lady, and like me trying to destroy that person online don't get me paid.
Of course.
And I know you're not trying to do that. It was just the. I'd like.
But I get the point.
I get the point.
There's so much, and one of the reasons why I created, I wrote about it in my book because I found myself dwelling on it and going back to that experience, and I just said, okay, why don't I create something where I'm gonna put these fuckers and I just forget about it. And it's a great feeling when you.
It's like a symbolism thing.
It's like a symbolism, like right, you're here now. This is where you belong, to the world of misery and embarrassment, and you can't make any impact whatsoever.
Can I put Keir Starmer in the fucking thing?
If you wish.
Oh no, it's Rachel Reeves. She's today. Is it today? No, it's tomorrow, isn't it? The budget's coming tomorrow.
Yeah, budget's coming tomorrow. We'll see.
Yeah. In fact, I'll tell you a fucker that can go in that box.
Go on. I've got another one.
Do I want to do this after what I've just said?
I think you have to.
I have to. So, we're buying our home in Cyprus. And
I changed your perspective because, it's not that you dwell on these things and you want to make someone... That's why I'm not saying their first name and full name, basically. It's just the thing that this is where you belong.
Yeah.
And you've got no power to impact
my
feelings.
You're actually going to like this because it is a loyalty piece and it's doing what you said you would and standing by your word, which is what this guy didn't do. So as part of our purchase of our home in Cyprus, the salesman said to me and Lisa in a meeting, between now and the house being built, which is April 2027, anytime you come to Cyprus, we'll put you up in our hotel for free. We were like, fucking hell, that's all right. So anyway, we signed the deal. And me being me, he didn't know how often I was going to be coming to Cyprus.
Right.
I think he's thinking like he might come once between now and then.
Yeah, just to check the progress.
We went back a week later for a week, and he put us in for a week. We then went back another 3 weeks later for another week, and he put us in for another week. And whilst we were there, I said to him, we're coming back next month for a month, and I want to come and stay in the hotel. We can't do that. So I said, but you said every time we come back to Cyprus between now and then. We got him on video saying it.
Yeah.
Every time we come back to Cyprus between now and the house being built, you said we could stay in the hotel. Yeah, but not this much. I went, so how much is it? How much can we come? And he went, next time you can come is when you choose your tiles.
Okay.
So
is that in the contract?
No. And it was like, really? Like, you've just fucking destroyed all trust that you had built with me. Completely. If he'd have said...
So he had probably shit from the hotel owner or someone.
He said, I never said that. Oh. But he fucking did say that. Because he'd done it twice prior already.
I can't stand
You did say that. Just say you fucked up and you can't give that much.
Exactly.
Just say that. Just be honest. That's okay.
Just say the hotel owner is kicking off because in a month time you stayed here 3 weeks, so we thought it's going to be every other month or
just
something
say that,
like that.
You don't need to lie. I never said that. You did say that.
People have no balls.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
With some men.
So you fucker, get in the fucking penny club. You cheap fucker.
Love it. Right, the last thing I want to ask you, which I ask every single one guest, is loyalty important to you? What does
loyalty important?
It comes with other words. Integrity,
it does come with other words, yeah, of
integrity, reliability. It has a lot of different words you can describe it as. Trust.
So I actually have it tattooed on my arm here in Latin. It's the motto of, I think it's the US Marines, Semper Fidelis, which is Latin for always faithful. Is loyalty important? I don't want to dismiss it with just a one-word yes, because it's an important question. Does loyalty matter to me? It absolutely does, yes. And that's not a flippant yes. I really fucking mean that. And it's not just in one facet of life. So there's loyalty in relationships, there's loyalty in business, in client, in customer, in supplier. Like I'm that bad. I say bad, it's not bad. I'm that loyal. I've only ever used one builder's merchants. Ever.
Mm.
Because they took me to Monte Carlo for a corporate trip in 2018. And because they did that, I've never been anywhere else. So for me...
I'm the same. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. I couldn't now go. It was Build Base that took us. They were Jacksons at the time. Now Hughes Grays. They took us, and I've told this story 1,000 times. I couldn't now go to Travis's. I'd feel fucking guilty.
Mm.
I would. Even if Travis's was cheaper, I'd feel guilty if I did that. And that runs through my marriage, the relationship with my kids, gym.
Yeah.
Tattooist. I got the same tattooist.
All the time.
Yeah, it's... I remember I was last in Cyprus. My tattooist is a guy called Jim in Barton. And... not Manchester, Barton near me. When I was in Cyprus, we walked past this cool looking tattooist shop. There were bikers in the window and it was just a proper tattoo shop. And they said, "Go in, I'll buy you one." I was like, "I can't do that to Jim." He'd be fucking crushed if I went in and got a tattoo off someone else. Actually, probably won't be bothered, but it would bother me. That would not sit right with me at all.
Yeah.
But loyalty, yeah.
Love it.
Defo.
Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. It's been very inspirational. And I'm sure there will be something we will do together because I'm very, very keen to explore opportunities in Cyprus. I want to sell properties in Cyprus. I've already got some quick short videos from the Cyprus. And I believe it's a nice place to live in, business-wise as well. There is lower taxation for corporate companies, corporation tax.
Massive benefits.
When you invest 300,000, I think.
That's for residency, not for
you can
tax.
apply for residency as well. Yeah. But you have to prove, obviously, your salary and all that. But it's a lovely place to live in. Lovely place in the world. Thank you so much, Paul.
Right. Thanks for having me.
At Rainbow Northwest, we make real estate effortless. Whether you're looking to sell on the market, off-market through our exclusive investor database, or via auction, we've got you covered. Plus, we offer top-notch property and project management, including refurbishment for investors. We can help you to build your own portfolio. Let us help you on your real estate journey. Rainbow Northwest, your trusted real estate business partner.